Welcome, Jenni Rivett. So pleased to see you on Longevity Live.
Thank you so much, Giselle. What an honor it is to be here again with my favorite magazine in the world, Longevity. Thank you for having me.
We're all a little bit biased here because probably a lot of people won't know, but we have gone back many years. It's a long time that we've known you. And I remember very clearly when I first came to hear of you, you were the celebrity fitness specialist who helped Princess Diana get this incredibly amazing body and healthy glow that she used to have. And wasn't that the most amazing experience for you?
Wonderful, and just such an honor and a privilege as a South African to have worked with her for 7 years. So she said she heard about me at 3 different dinner parties. Have you heard about Jenni, the South African trainer? So she had to phone me and ask me to come up to Kensington Palace to meet her, to see if we could, if her and I could work together. Drove up to Kensington Palace as you do. Oh. And she bounded into the room, and she had this fantastic ability of making you feel that you were the most important person in the room. And she just looked at me, and she was right up here and said, "Oh, Jenni, thank you for coming to see me. I've heard how busy you are. Now, what can you do for this body?"
Just before we go off the subject of Princess Di, I thought I also read the other day that you had donated some memorabilia to a charity, and I just wanted to say that's just amazing too. Well done on that. What happened to that stuff?
Right. So when she was alive, I got a phone call from Kensington Palace from the butler to say the princess has left 4 sweatshirts for you. Come and pick them up. So off I went, and of course one of the sweatshirts was the iconic Virgin Atlantic sweatshirt which Richard Branson had gifted to her. And so I had it for many years, and decided last year that it deserved a better home. It was just sitting in a box, and I was afraid that it might get stolen. And I thought that maybe with the funds I could help a family in South Africa to send their kids to school. So I auctioned it off in New York, and it raised way more than 5 times more than I thought it would. So it was wonderful. And then I got a request to send the rest of my memorabilia to a Princess Diana virtual 3D museum in Los Angeles, which it's all sitting in now very nicely under my name.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Jenni, we are in lockdown, and different countries have different stages of lockdown. You're in the UK, United Kingdom, and I'm sitting in the south of Africa, and we have a very strict lockdown, I think much stricter than what you have there. And I know parts of America are coming out of theirs, and obviously parts of Europe have come out of theirs, and Australia's different, and New Zealand's different. But I think that generally speaking, people's fitness habits have changed, and we have started to learn how to do these virtual fitness exercises, and also have to motivate ourselves at home. And I wondered, someone who's always worked closely with people, how you've adapted some of your clients now to this kind of COVID-19 life, and some of the insights maybe you could share with us.
Yes. Well, I think the first thing is that we all took the wonderful outdoors for granted. We've been stuck, and at one point we were only allowed to go out for 1 walk a day type of thing. So for me, it's really important. This is when, more than ever, exercise is just so important, not only for aesthetic reasons, but for the 2 most important health issues for me are sleep and stress. And you're going to manage both of those scenarios with healthy eating and exercise. So I sort of developed a very compact little routine, which I teach women all over the world on my Zoom classes, and I have done for years, which covers cardiovascular, strength training, which is the key to long-term weight loss, flexibility, and joint mobility more recently, which has just transformed my women's bodies in a very big way. So, you don't need a lot of space. You can work in a really small space. It's just, for me, it's about understanding, because there just seems to be so much confusion out there. I get so many requests saying, well, should I be doing that? Should I be doing that? Should I run? Should I swim? Should I walk? Should I do Pilates? And I think what I do is I put all those three components into one class, and you, for example, cardiovascular aerobic exercise and strength training, as I said, flexibility and mobility. And what I've done is I've blended my experience with new research and science to come up with the most doable formula in the least amount of time, which I think what so many of us want.
What is that least amount of time, Jenny? I'm very
the least. Okay, so this is another big factor for me. Less is more, because I see so many women trying to do too much and not eating enough to sustain that energy output. When you do that, your body's going to go into fat storage mode. So I can honestly tell you that 2 to 3 45-minute workouts a week is more than enough, as long as you're just busy in between, whether you horse ride like I think you do, Giselle, walking and possibly a little jog along the wherever if you're allowed to, just keeping yourself busy and active in between, and then just 2 to 3 workouts a week, but covering those aspects of cardio, strength, and flexibility. Yeah, that's it.
And I guess for a lot of I would say not most people, but I know even myself, and I'm pretty healthy and together, I think I am anyway, is it's always that motivation. And when before, when you go to a gym, somehow it was easier because there were people around you and you were almost forced. I think it's this kind of crowd mentality. You then want to do the class, or you want to be on those machines because you can see other people doing it. And perhaps, in lockdown, I think one of the biggest challenges has been for people to get self-motivated and not slump back.
Yes, well, there is the other end of the scale where a lot of women are actually intimidated going to a gym, Giselle, and also not knowing exactly what to do. So that's what's been great for me on Zoom, is that so many people have joined me because they're in their own home and I play nice music, and so they're still motivated and I motivate them. And for me, the biggest thing is results. If you're not seeing results, why? And if you are seeing results, it's going to motivate you to want to continue. Do you not agree?
Yes, I think it's a great observation, actually. So that is the flip side, and I must remember that I think we do
that is the flip side, is that when people see results, they want to continue.
Yeah.
And that for me is just a huge thing. And also when it comes to eating, the bottom line is it's calories in versus calories out, obviously. But for me, I don't believe in diets. I think if you just eat healthily most of the time and just allow yourself to have the occasional guilty thing and press the delete button and keep going, that is the best way, because that way you'll become an intuitive eater. Because let's face it, the minute you say to yourself, I'm not allowed this, I'm not allowed that, it's the very thing that you want. And so I've been working with this intuitive eating and exercising less, but compact and doing the right stuff for many years now. And it's certainly worked for me, and it certainly works for most of my ladies that follow me.
And I can see that looking at you. So we live in a very interesting time where, you can test your genes and see what food works better for your genes, or even what kind of exercise. And there are so many of these tools available for people to use. And I wonder, again, if you've looked at, I know you make it sound kind of not simple, but you obviously walk the talk and you know what you are doing. But when we look at those steps, what for anyone looking at trying to transform their life, where do you start? Because there is this overload.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, it's yes, we are all genetically different, and so how can one diet work for everybody? And that's my whole point. Is that I remember once years ago when I was on no fat, low fat, don't mix this with that. There were so many rules, and I've never ever been so sick and so stressed out in my life. And that's when I decided that I would we all know what healthy food is. We all know that, we should have our 5 servings of vegetables a day, drink 2 liters of water. We do all know that. But often we try and do it for the wrong reasons, i.e. to be in that little black dress in 2 weeks' time or for our holiday. But if you just shift back and think, I need to do this for at least just a healthy eating pattern for at least 2 months, where I do have the odd sort of blip and have a glass of wine and eat a piece of cake and press the delete button. But I don't know many women that have stuck to that formula for 2 months. Everybody's going on the Monday diet. I'll start on Monday. But haven't given their bodies a chance to just be moderate, balanced, and eating healthy food most of the time. Because let's face it, we all are going to have a piece of cake. You can't tell me we're never going to have a piece of cake.
Yeah.
It's the guilt thing that goes with it for me. And then obviously if you have outside issues like irritable bowel syndrome or allergies, that's when you make your own personal changes, relative to your body.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds extremely sound, and what we try and write about regularly, and everyone just finding what suits them and not punishing themselves. And I think also just,
exactly.
Coming to acceptance that you won't change anything overnight. You have to be committed over a period of time to any meaningful change in your health.
Yes, that was my other word, is consistency. So, just start something, anything, and just cut down on the bad and increase the good until you reach that equilibrium, and consistently stick with it. Consistency for me, and a little bit of discipline, quite a bit of discipline, is just such a huge word. But, don't beat yourself up over the head. I keep saying that if you go off track, because we all do.
And Jenny, as we age, I mean, obviously it gets harder, with the hormone shifts than when we were in our 20s, just to be able to keep the weight and under control. I mean, I again, seems when I get that feedback and I experience it myself, that you do seem to have to work a little bit harder to keep yourself where you were 10 years ago, for example. How do you approach that as we age, the hormonal challenges and the shifts that take place?
So glad you asked me that question, because over the last 10 years I have worked a lot with women and hormones and how to manipulate the hormones which make us, excuse the word, fat, and the hormones which make us lean, and how to manipulate them with eating and exercise. And if you read what all the top scientists and nutrition and fitness people say, they say, and I can vouch for that myself, is that the number one factor above and beyond anything is a healthy lifestyle most of the time. But I've developed a lot of little tricks in my book to manipulate the hormones, cortisol, insulin, and estrogen dominance, and to teach people how to keep those hormones down, and how to increase the beautiful hormones which make us lean and youthful, which is human growth hormone, testosterone, which most women associate with men, but it's critical, and progesterone. So I really do understand a lot about those hormones and how women can really make them work for them through the exercise program that I do, and also the advice on supplements and healthy eating.
So tell me a little bit about the book. And I know you've got a website, and I know you do regular fitness classes. I think it's www.jennirivett.com, correct? But let's talk a little quickly about your book before you're gonna share.
I don't have a book at the moment.
Oh, come on, Jenny.
I have, yes, I have, but I've got a great program that I offer with my Zoom classes, and I have done a couple of books in the past, but they're a little bit outdated now. Okay, my book's on the way. 6 weeks, we have a new ebook out.
Perfect.
Done, thank you.
I was going to say, definitely going to be reading that one.
Yeah, but I do write a lot on my blog about these hormones and stuff, and I do a lot of consulting and private groups and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Okay. So your wisdom is to be found on your website, obviously, and in your classes, and a lot of what you've been writing about over time.
In my Zoom classes, everything I've spoken about I teach, and then I do one nutritional talk a month as well. So that's where people that seems to be the way to go these days.
Yes. I think the nutrition thing is so integral with the fitness, as we've spoken, really is. And I'd love to talk to you sometime about the differences between men and women and how we shape ourselves. Not in a competitive way, of course, but just such an interesting, interesting subject altogether. So what are you going to show us today in terms of exercises that we could possibly do? And I think we just got to say this, that it's purely just a little bit of an insight. It's not your normal class. It's just to give a little bit of a taste of the stuff that you think would be really important to share.
So first of all, for me, something quite new that I've been teaching in the last year, which I wish I had started years ago, is to teach women about joint mobility. And especially now in lockdown, because, so many of us are in flexion. We're sitting at a laptop and we're not using our joints. Now, I've always really understood about cardiovascular fat burning, strength training and flexibility, but mobility training is just as equal up there with everything else. And basically, when you take all your joints through a range of motion, you're literally washing your joints, you're lubricating them, you're getting rid of waste matter. So now I'm just going to show you some of my favorite exercises, which are really going to help you during lockdown. It's important, as I said, the joint mobilization. So let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about. So we have lots of joints in our body, and one of the most susceptible joints in our entire body is the shoulder. So if you just have any sort of a band, what you can do is we're just going to tilt that pelvis, and we're just going to bring it all the way back onto our buttocks and forwards and back and forwards. Great. And 3. Okay, let's just do 2 more. I want you to make sure that you've warmed up before you do this today. So just make sure you've warmed up. Okay. So that is an example of joint mobility through your shoulder joints. I'm just going to go over here now, hold on to something, and we're going to do ankle mobilization. So just lovely big circles here. We're on our feet all day, so we really should respect them. And as I said, we're actually washing the joints here and clearing them of toxic and waste matter and forcing that fluid through them. So now I'm just going to go into the hip. So we're going to come up, around, and behind. And hey, you can do this in the morning when you're making your tea or your lemon water and apple cider vinegar. Okay, so you can see everything else is stabilized. And I'm going to come around the other way now. 2, 3, excellent. Such a simple thing, but just so important. Turn around, circle the ankle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and reverse. 3, 4, 5. Now with the hips, so come all the way behind. And 2, and 3. Great. 4, 5, and reverse. Bring it around. 2. So you can see everything else is stabilized. And great. And those of you that are working at a laptop all day, even just those fingertips, just circling around here, wrist mobilization, very important joints, don't neglect those. And same thing, actually hold on to something, just head rolls. So every day, probably just 5 one way and 5 another. Such things as just being able to come down onto your haunches easily and up, which we probably couldn't have done a few months ago. This is how we would have been millions of years ago, doing our bit of cooking here. And these days we just don't do that sort of thing. And as you get a bit stronger, you come right down and shift your weight. So those are the sorts of things with joint mobilization, extension through your spine. Okay, again, because we're always in flexion. But I will show you a few more at the end of this class. But right now, I'm just going to show you some of my favorite exercises for us women, because we're women, we want to look like women, and therefore we should train like women. Now, I just want to show you that all you need is my favorite bits of equipment to get in fantastic shape at home. A little kettlebell. If you haven't got a kettlebell, you can use your personal washing liquid, a pair of light handheld weights, and resistance bands. My favorite is something like that to put around your legs, and this great guy for the arms. Right, so I'm just going to show you some of my favorite exercises, and I'm going to load the legs up with a kettlebell. So obviously, you know, if you don't have a kettlebell, just use something else. And then I'm going to just show you. Here's a simple exercise, a squat. All right, it's one of my favorite exercises. There's many, many variations of a squat, but I'm focusing on my lift here. I'm really squeezing my glutes as I come up. All right, let's go for 5 more. So 5 and 4, 3, 2, and 1. And also a lunge. Now, lunges are great, but so many women do them incorrectly. For example, they push forwards instead of straight down through the middle of the move. So it's a simple exercise if you do it correctly. And again, I'm loading the leg up with the kettlebell. So 4, I'm always using my abs. 6, we'll just do 2 more. 7 and 8. And then I'm going to just switch legs. Okay, so lift the back heel, tilt the pelvis, come down. It's all about technique. Okay, you can exercise till the cows come home. Wear the best gear, but if your technique is bad, your body is never going to change. And that's what I teach in my Train Like a Woman formula. Right. So there's a few exercises with the kettlebell. One of my favorite exercises for the bingo wings is to just grab a resistance band and to push. Now you'll notice how I just straighten my back there. All right, so I'm going to work again with poor technique. So it's all about technique and just working that muscle correctly. Just do a few more on the other side. So I'm going to push and press and 3. So these are the sorts of things that you should be doing, working our mommy bits. Great. Now I'm going to show you my absolute favorite lower body exercise for a woman. It works on your balance, your strength, and every single muscle in the lower body, and even your core. And it goes like this. So we're just going to kind of tap, keeping the weight into the front heel. I'm going to do 10 of these. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm going to take a big step back and drop that leg into a reverse lunge. If you're new to this, hold on to something. 3. Now this is majorly working my front glute here. And 5, 6, big step. Keep those abs strong. 7, 8, 2 more. 9 and 10. And I'm going to switch sides. Take a step back and keep the weight into the heel. Little taps. 2, 3, 4. Amazing. 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, big step back. So we're working every single muscle through that lower body. Practically keeping those abs strong. Good. And last 5. So here we go. 5 and 4 and 3, 2, 1. Great, fantastic. Another great exercise just to do for the body with the band. A little bit of bicep work. Just contracting. You can see nothing else is moving except from the elbow down. So it's all about technique. But we're going to do 5 more here. 1 and 2 and 3. Great. Okay. Important to do posture work. Very focused on, because we sit at it, so many of us at a desk, these muscles passively slide away from the spine. It's really important to do some back squeezes. And again, it's just all about that technique. So here's some of my favorite exercises that I'm just showing you today. Normally I would do a whole class, but we're just giving you some examples here today. Right, I'm going to get you down on the floor. And we are going to pop our mats down. Grab a hand towel. And right, as long as you're doing these correctly, you're really going to keep these muscles beautifully toned. So I'm going to put one hand on the halfway on the mat, halfway off. Keep your head in line with your spine. Elbows go slightly behind. And you aim to touch with your chest. Okay, so don't look up or down. And that, ladies, is a perfect push-up. It's not going to bulk you up. Okay, fantastic. Right, the part we've all been waiting for, those abs. Now, 99% of women I encounter work their abs incorrectly. So I'm going to show you my little technique that I use here. Right, so we're just going to pop the hands behind the middle of the back of your head and lift up. Okay, so we start here. Relax those elbows in. They don't need to be out. Now I want you to think of two things and two things only. Imaginary apple and scooping those abs out. Okay, so we're going to just exhale and draw those abs towards your backbone. And keep your shoulders off the floor until you've finished the exercise. So we're really scooping those abs towards your backbone. And that's the most important thing. All right, so I'm going to add a little variation here now. We're going to kick some more muscles kicking in here. And 5 and 6. Draw those abs in and keep your imaginary apple. 8. 2 more. Up and up. Okay, we're going to work into the lower part of the abs. Cross your ankles, keep your feet down. And we're just going to do a tiny little tailbone lift here. Keeping those abs drawing towards your backbone. Okay, so now we're working the lower part of those abs. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Right. Most underworked muscle in a woman's body. I'm going to show you a very, very simple exercise. We're just going to line our knees up together here. Make sure this foot is not too close to your buttock. Press your back into the floor. And we're just going to lift and lower. 2. Squeeze the back of the thigh as hard as you can. And if you find that too difficult, you just pop your foot onto your knee. Okay, last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so these are, again, my favorite exercises for a woman's body. So simple to do. 3, really squeezing through there. 4, next time you go into Zara, your legs will look great in those mirrors. Okay, let's go for 3, 2, and 1. All right, hug those knees to your chest. I would love to spend an hour with you today, but of course time is limited, so I can just show you one of my favorite hip mobilization exercises. So we're going to take a right angle with the front knee, a right angle with the back knee, right? And we're going to take a deep breath in and exhale, come down and lift. So again, we're washing those joints and we're lubricating those joints. Just such an important part of our exercise program. 3. And if you keep up with this, you'll just see that it just gets easier and easier. And we're going to go 1 more. Up you come, and just it's a little bit uncomfortable. Try not to lean over too much and just lift that back leg. Great. 2 more. Up. Obviously, I'm just doing a little shorter amount of reps today. And the other side. Now, I find this side a little bit more difficult, so I'm just going to pop a kettlebell there, and hopefully one day I'll be able to not have to use the kettlebell. So right angle, we're going to take a nice deep breath in and exhale. Good. And deep breath in and exhale. Great. And 3 more. Deep breath in, exhale, and 2 more. Deep breath in and exhale. And last one, Deep breath in and exhale. Okay, don't forget to warm up and stretch after each and every workout and to do your joint mobilization. Thank you for joining me today.